Now, Labour's already pouring scorn on the government's national service proposal. We've been talking about it. But, you know, similar mandatory programmes exist right across the world, including in Norway, Denmark, Austria, Switzerland, Greece, South Korea, France, and what used to be Labour's favourite country, Sweden, has it. Why are you just rejecting it out of hand?
Look, elections should be about the country's future, not fighting for a better past. And I think this announcement sort of epitomises the choice at the next election. You know, more of the same from the Conservatives, yet another unfunded spending commitment.
No, they're funding it. They said it's 2.5 billion. It's coming out of the Levelling Up Fund. They know where it's coming from.
Well, interestingly enough, that UK Prosperity Fund is supposed to be used to tackle economic inactivity and helping people get back into work. So, you know, that really undermines another one of their arguments. But actually, you know, this is an unfunded commitment, a headline-grabbing gimmick. That is
unfunded. I've just said where it's coming from.
It is not a proper plan to deliver, and it doesn't really deal with the big challenges facing young people who are desperate, Trevor. They are desperate to get the skills and qualifications they need, to get good jobs, to have a home they can call their own. And Labour has a fully costed, fully funded plan to give young people those real opportunities that they need to build a better life. And that's the choice of this election.
It's easy to mock, but I think I talked to the Home Secretary this morning. I don't know if you probably hadn't had a chance to see that interview, but he, I think, made an important point, which is that we live in a society which is increasingly fragmented. Everybody talks about this, you know, technology, community disintegration, as it were. And this is, you may not agree with it, but it is at least an answer to how do you deal with that, particularly how do you bring young people together so that we are, in a sense, one society. You surely can't be against that aim.
I think that the way we bring young people and our country together is by ensuring everyone feels they've got a shot at success, that they can have the opportunities to fulfil their potential, that they can get the job of their dreams, that they can have a chance of getting on the housing ladder, that they get those skills. And that isn't a plan to deliver it. What it actually is asking young people to solve the problems in the NHS, the police and the armed services that the Tories themselves have created. So I know, if I think about my niece, God bless her, who is currently doing her A-levels, she has worked herself into the ground to do this. She has had a job.
Hang on, you're not really addressing the point
that she is giving back.
There are all those other things that they can do.
But she's giving back and she's putting the effort in.
You're not addressing the point that cleverly made to me, which is that actually we do have a problem of social cohesion in this country. And this is at least one answer to it. It might not be the answer that you like, but at least it is an answer. What is your answer that doesn't involve saying the Tories are rubbish? What is Labour going to do about that problem?
What gives people a sense of belonging in this country is a sense that they have a chance of success. It is by making sure institutions, by giving them the skills and training and other opportunities, by having the jobs they need, but also the institutions that bring people together, like the NHS that desperately needs funding. That is also really important, and I'm afraid this doesn't deal with it, but it is about the choice. Labour's plan for young people in the future, or this headline-grabbing gimmick that takes us back to the past.
Load of funding for the NHS to provide better wages and bring more young people into it.
We will have 40,000 extra appointments every single week in the evenings and at the weekends to transform access to the
Mostly
NHS.
done by foreign doctors and nurses, not our young people.
Well, I myself have just had some amazing NHS treatment by people from all over the world.
Exactly.
And I am very, very grateful to them for that and want to thank them. But, you know, those appointments would make a real difference. If you are left waiting in pain for treatment, if you are left waiting in pain for treatment, if you're facing that 8 a.m. scramble to see the GP, 40,000 extra appointments every week would
You're
make
taking
a
us on to a different.
Well, you took me on to the different question.
I'm trying to ask you about the problem that this thing is supposed to solve. But anyway, let's just deal with some of the things that you're responsible for. By the way, one thing that has been lost as a result of the early election is the bill to phase out sale of cigarettes to people under 15. You were partly responsible, I think, for the 2006 smoking ban. If you were
elected... It wasn't
elected,
me personally, but I was working for...
Well, you were working for the
was.
politicians.
You're
an advisor on that. If Labour is elected, will it reintroduce that bill to stop people under 15 buying cigarettes?
I mean, West Streeting has been campaigning for that. And, you know, if we're elected, we will make that happen and make it less likely that young people will smoke than vote Tory.
All right. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, the gurus on all public spending, are saying that the next government is going to have to do one of three things: cut spending, raise taxes, or borrow to fund spending. And that's about you as much as the Tories. Rachel Reeves is saying this weekend, that you won't borrow. So, where are the cuts going to fall, or are you going to raise taxes?
Well, we've set out where we will increase taxes to fund our commitments.
Those are windfall taxes. You're talking about $1 billion or $2 billion.
Well, it's not just that.
We're talking
about
tens of billions
It's
needed.
a proper windfall tax to help fund Great British Energy to bring people's bills down. It's ending the non-dom tax loopholes and tax avoidance to help fund our vital NHS. And it's ending the tax breaks for private schools to put the 6,500 teachers in specialist. Look, let's take a step back here. This election is going to be about who is trusted on the economy. And we will not make spending commitments that we can't keep, because we've seen what happens to ordinary people when that happens. It's their mortgages that go up. It's their food and fuel bills that go up. And we don't want ordinary working people to suffer.
May I ask you about a concrete thing which is in your bailiwick? It's probably the biggest decision that you would have to take. The triple lock on pensions means that people like me get above inflation increases in our pensions, cost the nation 11 billion extra this year, could add up to 45 billion in the years ahead, up in 2050. Are you going to keep the triple lock on pensions?
Yes.
Okay.
And let me
ask you this. That's very good. It's an admirably clear answer. It's the sort of answer we don't normally see here. So I'm going to bank that one. So your plan is to put off defence spending when we face at least 2 wars, cut prison spending when crime's rising, delay social care reform while you give the richest old people in our history an annual bung.
That's not what we do. And let me tell you why.
That's what the triple lock does.
Let me first say why on the triple lock. Because I think there's somewhat of a misunderstanding about what's happening to many pensioners in this country. We now have 1 in 5 pensioners in poverty, with poverty rising in every region of the country. More people are taking their pension early. They are spending down their savings, and we have seen a doubling of the number of pensioners relying on food banks. And for the future, more and more people are going to be paying off their mortgages or renting into retirement. So having that stability and a clear commitment on the basic state pension alongside reforms to second pensions is what we really need to give people a decent security in retirement. I think that is important. And on those other issues that you've raised about defence spending, it is this government that has wasted 15 billion on defence procurement, that has cut our armed forces to their smallest size since Napoleonic times. We have been clear about our commitment to defence and having a proper strategic review so we can keep our country safe.
Let's talk about another issue that you're going to have to deal with if you become the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. There's huge weight on the economy of the 9+ million individuals who are economically inactive. They don't have a job, they're too ill to hold one down, they don't want one. You said recently words to the effect that no one is going to be able to stay on the sick under Labour. What are you going to do that the Tories won't do?
We are an older, sicker nation. We also have more and more young people suffering from mental health problems. We need to drive down the waits for NHS treatment, overhaul skills so people can get the jobs, today's jobs and jobs of the future. And crucially, we need to overhaul how job centres work to end this sort of tick box culture and to focus relentlessly on helping people into work. This is a really, really big issue. Between now and the end of the next Parliament, there will be £27 billion extra spending on sickness and disability benefits. 2 million people who are out of work because of those issues say they want to work if they have the right help and support. That is our plan. And what I specifically on what I said for young people, we will transform your skills, give disabled people access to work. And in return for that, those new opportunities, there will be no option of a life-on benefits. And I think that's right for the economy and for them, because if you're out of work when you're young, it ruins your life chances in later life. Fully costed,
that is a series of
ambition.
Can I just ask you one?
It isn't. It's a fully funded, fully costed plan.
Let me just ask you one quick last question, because I talked to the Home Secretary about the Rwanda scheme. I know you don't like it and all that. We don't need to go over that.
There isn't really a scheme, is there?
Okay, yeah. I just want to know something about Labour's position on what would happen if you came into office. There is a growing problem of thousands who have crossed the channel already, but they aren't allowed to seek asylum under the legislation that's been passed. If you came into office, you wouldn't send those people to Rwanda. You won't send them home, the Afghans and Iranians, for example. What are you going to do with them? And we're talking tens of thousands now.
Our first priority is to set up a new border security command to crack down on those criminal gangs. And we will have those new specialist investigators.
I understand the general point, but what are you going to do with this group of tens of thousands of people?
We will drive down that backlog.
But what are you going to do with the people who are already here?
We are spending £8 million a day funding people in hotels. We have got the highest number in the first 5 months of this year ever coming over in the boats.
Your colleagues have said this several times on this programme. What are you going to do about this group of people who currently are in the country, who have no status? You say you won't send them to Rwanda. You can't send them back. What are you going to do with them?
We have got to drive down that asylum backlog, and we have set forward, once again, our fully funded, fully costed plans to bring that backlog down. But the real thing here is we need to stop those boats. That's why we'll launch our new border security plan to crack down on the criminal gangs.